I can't even begin to express to you how excited I am to go through this training with you guys today. And today, guys, I'm going to share with you all these 10 years of knowledge of manifesting into one masterclass. And I promise you, if you pay attention today, this not only might just change your entire life moving forwards, but also this could possibly be the number one best class you've ever watched on how to manifest. Let's dive in. All right, I know you're here because you're a driven seeker. You're someone who craves knowledge. You're someone who craves understanding the secrets of the universe, of creation, how to empower yourself and be better. And I connect with you 100% on that. So what we're going to go through today is if you watch my previous trainings, you know that I try to tie in as much science as possible when it comes to this kind of stuff. But today we're also going to add in the spiritual loop as well because it's needed to truly, truly understand how this all works. So we're going to connect science and spirituality together here into this entire masterclass. And I'm going to teach you guys the way that I teach my own personal one-to-one clients on how to do this, how to understand it moving forward. So let's dive right in. So the first things first, guys, is we got to understand how manifesting actually works. So what is manifesting? Now, most of us, what we think of is we typically think that manifesting is I'm going to attract what I want into my current life, right? So you're thinking of like, okay, well, if I think of what I want, then it will naturally attract it, right? Right? Close. Close, right? Yes, law of attraction is a universal law, right? We do attract what we are. But the place where we go wrong here is that you don't attract what you want into your current life. You actually don't change anything in your current life. The actual whole entire idea around manifestation is you switch to a different parallel reality of where that situation, that scenario, that abundance, that love, that health, that goal already does exist. And I know that's a big concept to break down, but we'll break it down through quantum, how the quantum field works, neuroscience. We're going to break it all down here today. But that's the whole idea is that you don't actually change your personal reality. What you do is you shift into the reality, ooh, reality of where you already have what you want. All right. So you shift into the reality of where you already have what you want. That is the actual real way, the whole idea around manifestation is you don't stay in your current reality and then work and grind towards it and build it into your current life. No, you actually shift into the reality of where you already have what it is that you want. Now, to really, really grasp this, we have to understand the idea around everything is here and now. Every single thing is here and now. There is only right now. And the idea behind that to truly grasp it is to understand that in this plane, in this, this life that we have, this world that we have here, we have time and we have space, right? And we all have our own individual souls. And that's what kind of separates us. The idea behind spirituality here and the reason why that is the way it is and how time and space only exist here. But if you look at the quantum field, if you look at consciousness level or in the spiritual realm or whatever you want to call it, time and space doesn't actually exist. So if you take away time and space, what do you have? Everything is all just one. And you look at how the quantum field works, every single thing is energy, right? And nowadays you see how they're showing how in with consciousness, the idea around consciousness, how people with certain special abilities and whatnot, and like kids with levels of autism, for example, are able to actually tap in and have telepathy with their parents or other kids with the same situations, etc. Telepathy tapes is where you can go look that up. So it's really beautiful to see kind of what's happening in this world today. But the whole idea to really grasp this about shifting, excuse me, shifting into the reality of where you already have what you want is understand the idea of everything is here and now. And basically how we're all one. So we're all this one consciousness, right? And then we create the illusion of separation so we can have more experience. Because if you're consciousness, if you're all one, which means you've experienced everything, there's no reason to do anything at all. So we create souls, we create this illusion of separation so we can go and have these experiences. The only way to really do that, though, is time and space to truly separate us, right? So if you want to shift into the reality of where you already have what you want, right? We don't think of it as like, I just need more time to get there. No, think of it like this. You're closing your eyeball on this one reality, right? Your consciousness, yourself, your true powerful self, you're closing the focus on this one reality and you're opening up a new focus on a new reality, a new state of being. Mind you, I know this is a really big idea, but we're going to really break it down today. So hopefully it makes a good amount of sense. So that is really what manifestation is, though, is that you don't change your personal world. You just shift into a reality of where you already have what it is that you want. So, number two is how manifestation works. So, if we look at how manifestation works, let's look at the quantum field for an example. So, let's say this is the quantum field. For those who don't know what the quantum field is basically if you scope down to the smallest pieces of how everything else is created, like the particles, everything there, you'll see that everything, 99.99999% of everything is just space. It's just energy. Okay, most every single thing is energy. We're all energy. Okay, and if you look at the quantum field, though, you'll realize through the observer effect, every single thing is potential. So this is where quantum physics ties into the idea of parallel realities, because if you look at the quantum field and you see how every single thing is just potential, and how something collapses into a reality, right? How that works, what they've seen is that the observer, when you observe a certain focus, when you put energy and focus into something, that energy actually collapses into a particle. This is where the idea of alchemy comes into play, right? You're creating your actual reality. So what they've shown is that when you observe and you put your energy and focus into something, that potential then collapses into a potential reality, a reality. So that's kind of how manifestation works at a quantum level. Okay. And who is the observer? It is you. It is you, your consciousness, your focus. And when you focus and you tune into something, right? This is where the idea of everything vibrates, right? And then we have the energy. And then we also have frequencies, right? So this is where basically, let's say you as the observer, you hear, let's say you're tuned in and you're vibrating on this level, and this is the reality that you're living in, right? And it's like, this is all painful, this is hate. Okay, well, I'm going to shift my focus. I'm going to start vibrating personally. I'm going to raise my personal frequency. I'm going to start vibrating, focusing on a new level of abundance and love. So now you're focusing on this. So as soon as you do that, this thing collapses, okay, into an actual reality. And now you just have to fully shift into it where that is your dominant state of being. So that's the whole idea around how manifestation works and how it connects with the quantum field. Okay. So that's the next part to understand here is how the quantum field really jumps into this, how energy, vibration, and frequency really works. Think of it like this, right? Is that there's a TV station playing and you're the one observing and you're like, hey, I don't want to watch this scary movie anymore. I don't like it, right? What do is you change the dial. You change the dial to a new channel. Or if it's like you're listening to music, right? All the songs are playing. All the songs are already playing around me. But the reason why I can't hear them is because I'm just not tuned into them, right? I'm tuned into channel 100 and not 101 or 102. But 101 and 102 is already playing. I just can't hear it or observe it or see it because I'm only tuned into channel 100. And this is where a lot of people go wrong, by the way, when it does come to manifestation is that sometimes they get the dial just a little bit off. And you know how, like, when you're changing the radio station, you change the dial and it's just a little bit off, it's all scratchy and fuzzy? That's a very common thing that happens to a lot of us when we're trying to manifest a new life. But what I call is we have these old anchors that are still stuck into our old ways of being that are holding us back, which I'll explain here soon. So that's kind of the whole idea on how manifestation works. Is what is manifesting is that you're shifting into the reality of where you already have what it is that you want. And if you look at the quantum field and how that works, is basically you have to change your personal vibration. You have to change the frequency that you're on. You have to change your focus, your lens, so you can focus and be in that reality. And if you look at the quantum field on how that connects, is that everything is potential, everything is energy. If you want to call that consciousness, whatever helps you best there. And through your personal focus, when you observe, energy collapses into a particle. Okay, you collapse nothing basically into something, which is pretty unbelievable to think about. Now, moving forwards, and I could also talk so much more on how manifesting works, like the idea of like, okay, well, you're telling me that I shift my reality into a new potential reality. So whatever I can think of, I can shift into is what you're saying, right? Yes, if it serves you to do so, right? If it's actually genuinely serves you to do so, if it's something that you actually genuinely want and is needed, 100% you can shift into it. But then the idea comes about like, what about my past? But what about my past? You're telling me that I can shift into a life where maybe I never smoked before, but I've been a smoker my entire life, and that's why I'm addicted, right? What about my past? I bet you'll see here in the future, and they're already starting to come out with this, that quantum physics and the quantum kind of studies are going to show that your past will actually be influenced by your present. Okay, because remember this, everything is happening here and now. If we truly are all one, we are all consciousness, right? And you're focused on this one singular point. All that's happening, every single thing that's happening is here and now. The idea of past lives, right? When you talk about in a spiritual sense of like you have a past life, it's not actually past. That's we're using time again, but time only matters here, right? If you look at it in a conscious level or in a quantum field level, everything is happening here and now. But you don't sense it, you don't see it because you're tuned into this focus right here, right now, right? But all the past lives, you're also experiencing all at the same time, all at once, but you're just not tapped in, tuned into those. You're tapped in, tuned in here, which is pretty cool to think about. So you just wait. We'll see what happens in the future with the quantum, with how that works. Number 3 is the universal laws. Okay, so the next thing we got to understand when it comes to manifesting is understanding the universal laws. Mind you, you might feel all over the place right now, and that's okay because we're just breaking down the main pieces and then we're going to put it all together. So the universal laws here. So number 1 is a law of vibration. The law of vibration shows that every single thing vibrates. Number 2 is the law of correspondence. And this means that your inner reflects your outer. Okay, as above, so below. So your inner world reflects into your outer world. Okay, your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. Number 3 is the law of attraction, one of the most popular ones, right? You attract what it is that you are. Number 4 is the law of cause and effect. Every action has a reaction, right? So the next one, number 5, is perpetual transmutation. And this is the whole idea of the energy can never be destroyed. And this comes into the idea of being the own alchemist of your life, right? You turn your pain into your power because pain, sadness, that emotion, it's all energy, right? It's all energy. So you don't destroy the sadness. No, you shift it, you transmute it, you change it into your personal power, into happiness. And that's the idea of perpetual transmutation, how energy can never, ever be destroyed. It is all that it is. It exists, therefore it always will exist. All right. So something that exists can no longer not exist. That does not make sense. Right. So that's the universal laws that we need to understand in order to make this all come together. Okay. Law of vibration. Every single thing vibrates. Law of correspondence. The inner reflects the outer reflects the inner. Law of attraction. Okay. Laws of cause and effect. Every action has a reaction. And perpetual transmutation, how energy can never be destroyed. Okay. So the neuroscience of manifesting. Okay, the neuroscience of manifesting. So where does neuroscience come into play here? Well, if we look at your personal frequency, right? So we look at your personal frequency. Sorry for my spelling, and how you vibrate, right? How? How do we vibrate? How do we change our personal frequency? Did you even know that you have a certain frequency? If you look at the emotional chart, the frequency chart, right? Down here is where you got like your fear, you got shame, you've got guilt, all that stuff is down there. And the highest levels is where it's like trust, you have love, you've got abundance. Those are the higher states of being. Okay. As you raise your frequency, you vibrate at a higher level. Remember, law of attraction, you attract what it is that you are, right? So if you are always in these states of being, that's what you attract more and more and more of into your personal reality. So the neuroscience of manifestation, how do you change your personal frequency? Well, here's how this works is your frequency and how you vibrate comes from your most dominant emotional state. Okay, your state of being is what I call this. And mind you, how it works is that it's not one singular. I found that it's a bunch of little things tied into one. And what I mean by that is like, let's say, okay, this area of my life, my relationship's amazing, but I'm also struggling over here with my finance, or I'm super stressed out about my family, or whatever it may be. That all these things that you have going on tie into one most dominant state of being. Okay. And that builds up, let's say, your most dominant state of being throughout the day, throughout your life, whatever it may be. That's your most dominant state of being. Okay. Your emotional state. Now, then this is where neuroscience plays its role because how does it come down? How do we feel, right? What influences that constant state of being? Well, if we look at neuroscience, what it shows is that what influences your emotions typically come from your thoughts, and your thoughts come from your core held belief systems and fears that you have going on. And what neuroscience shows as well, when a thought and emotion is repeated over time, it creates an identity, which you naturally take action based off your most dominant state of being, but also you naturally take action based off your identity, right? Every action has a reaction, a result. And then you get the results in your life, which influence that same old belief system over and over and over again. Okay. So this is where neuroscience comes into play when it comes to manifesting. This is what I call neurocoherence. So think of this right here, this pattern of the belief, the thought, the emotion, the action, the result is a pattern. It's a loop that wants to keep replaying. And that's neurocoherence. It's all in sync, right? Your brain, your heart, it's all in sync. So I had this core belief of, let's say, I am not good enough, right? Well, that's a low state of being. That's a low vibration, right? That's a lower frequency. I am not good enough. So the thoughts I'm going to have is I suck, right? I can't do this. I don't deserve this person in my life, right? So the guilt, the shame, maybe I'm scared of losing them because I don't think I'm good enough. And then that's going to influence my state of being, how I feel, right? And over time, that influences how I show up in the world and take action. And that then influences my results. But we also have the RAS. And this is basically your filter. So whatever you do believe about yourself, let me just delete all this here. So you have your RAS. And this is basically the filter in your brain. And here's how I want you to think of it is, let's say this is your core belief here, right? The RAS is, let's say this is your kind of like your focus. Okay. Your RAS will only focus on the things that align with these core beliefs. So let's say you believe you're ugly. You're only going to go find reasons in your personal reality, we'll say, in your personal reality of why you're ugly. That's all you're focused on. Because remember, how the animal, the lizard brain works is that it doesn't like change, right? If that's what you believe to be true, it will serve you in that manner. Your beliefs will always support you. And this is an idea I want you to think of is if my beliefs have always supported me, right? If I change my beliefs over time, believing in Santa, maybe you change your religion, maybe you change your beliefs around relationships and love and people, and you recognize that my beliefs have always supported me. Every time I've changed my beliefs, I'm still here. I've changed my beliefs, I've changed my world, I changed my life. Well, then why can't I change my beliefs to align with the best possible outcome? Why can't I change my beliefs to believe that I am beautiful? Right? If I'm believing that I'm ugly and that's all I'm focused on, so it's making it a reality, right? I'm finding that more and more in my life. Why can't I just change my beliefs to believe that I'm beautiful? And then I can go search for that in my life and find evidence for that in my life. If your beliefs have always supported you, why not change them to support you in the best way possible? Just a cool question. So that's the neuroscience behind it all, though, is that if you change, how do you change your frequency, right? Your vibration is you need to change your most dominant state of being. But you change your most dominant state of being by the core belief systems and the fears that may be lingering in behind. You got to let them go. You got to rewire them because the brain will only do what it believes is best for it. So once you change those core beliefs in a way that's aligned with your most dominant state or with your most higher self, right? How you actually want to be. So, for example, let's say you're on a state of being where you're scared and you're coming from a place of lack because you have a core belief of I'm not good enough. And you have a core belief of life is very hard. And you have a core belief of success is scary and making money is very hard. So that's not abundant, right? That's coming from a very lack place. It's very limited slash limiting belief. So when that is your state of being, right, those are the thoughts you're going to have. And then that's going to influence how you show up and take action in the world. It's going to change what you do focus on. So opportunities could be coming in your life, right? Of like change could be right here and the best opportunity in the world, but it won't even be a point of focus because you're only focused on this that's producing from these core beliefs and fears. So other opportunities, evidence of a different possibility could be out there, but you're not tapped and tuned into it. It's like the red car theory, right? You go by the red car before you never saw it. Now you see it everywhere. It was always there, but now you're focused in on it. It's part of your RAS, right? It's being filtered in now. So that's how that works. So when you can change those core beliefs and fears, and this is what I do with the highest level of kind of people who want to accomplish success in their lives, and this is what I've been a weight loss coach for 5, 6 years, and these are some of the methods that we use to help our clients make permanent changes in their lives. When I was doing that fully, and it's unbelievable the power. It's unbelievable the power that you unlock and the changes that you can make by truly grasping this and understanding it. But when you change those core beliefs, you will over time change your most dominant state of being. Okay, you'll change your personal frequency. And when you change your frequency, you change your reality, right? You attract new things in your life, you take different actions, and you get different results. So you see now how things are starting to tie in a little bit more around the quantum field, manifesting, change, etc. So the parallel realities. Let's talk about parallel realities and how that works, okay? So here's the idea. All right, I'm going to go over this one more time. Is the spiritual idea is that we are all one. Okay, so let's say we're all one. And what we really crave at the end of the day, if we were all one, and you call that consciousness, you can call that energy, you can call that God, whatever suits you best. But the idea behind parallel realities is that if we're all one and everything is happening here and now, and time and space only exist here to allow us to have more experience to learn more about ourselves, right? But time and space is only here. So the past and future, quote unquote, don't actually exist. Everything is happening here and now. But if you look at the idea of being one, everything has already happened. Everything is happening. Everything is going on already. So it's really hard to grasp. But if that is true, okay, we'll say if that is true and everything is here and now and happening at once, and you want to shift your personal reality, you want to change your experience, right? You want to shift into something new, you need to jump into a reality that is aligned with that. But how you do that as a personal self, right, in this human experience is that you need to let go of the anchors, the belief systems, the fears that you have that's keeping you stuck in your personal vibration and frequency. So think of it like this. Let's say this is where you want to get to. This is the reality of abundance. And now you're here coming from lack. Okay. And let's say you're struggling, things just not working out for you, you're just not happy with your current life, right? So you want to ascend, change your frequency to get up here. This is what you want to attract. This is what you want to become in your life. Okay. So what happens is that a lot of us, we start doing the work, right? The work is we'll think, we'll act, and we'll visualize. So we'll do the visualize. We'll do all the stuff there, right? And temporarily, we'll notice changes start to happen. But then again, we just keep going back to square one over and over and over again. And the reason why is because we haven't changed the core piece that's producing our most dominant state, which is our core belief systems and fears. And I want you to think of those as their anchors that's holding you down. They want to keep you stuck. Your core beliefs slash limiting beliefs and fears. Okay? These are holding you down. They're keeping you stuck. So if you want to rise above, what's needed is that we need to let go of these limiting beliefs and fears, right? We need to rewire them. We need to realize that they're not universally true. And you will find any kind of belief that you have that is limiting to you, that limits you, that scares you, that doesn't make you feel good. It's always, never universally true. It's always rooted into some sort of program that was put into you. But when you came here as a baby and you showed up into this world, it didn't come with you. It was programmed into you. So our job is to release those, to learn the lessons in those, to get rid of those so we can get back to our best state of being. Okay? And when you can do that, when you let go of those anchors, you're going to change your most dominant state of being. And that's how you change your personal frequency. Okay? That's how you change your frequency. And you can jump into that new reality, we'll say. And when you're in that new reality, right, and you have these new beliefs about yourself, you're thinking differently about yourself, you're acting differently, and therefore you're getting different results in your life, right? You're getting different results in your life. So you let go of these, you do the work, you let go of these. Naturally, you're going to start thinking better, you're going to start feeling better, you're going to start acting better, and then you're getting new results. And then everything now is aligned. You're in alignment with exactly what you want, and you also have the results to follow through because you've been taking the right actions. So that's the idea around parallel realities. So let's do one more breakdown of parallel realities and how this all works again. So instead of attracting abundance, right, you become abundant, right? And when you become abundant, as a side effect, what do you keep getting? You keep getting more of the same thing that you already are. Like, for example, a lot of us, for example, maybe you want to be rich, right? Maybe you want freedom or whatever it may be. The things that you want in the materialistic world are all because of the way you think you're going to feel when you get them. So the key is, how do I get into that state of being now? That's where you get to the point where it's like, I don't actually need anything. I am good as who I am. I am full as who I am. And everything else externally is just a reflection of that. It's just a side effect of that, right? A lot of us, we try to create from lack. I'm not good enough, so I need to create this. I don't have this, so I need to create that. But you're staying in a constant state of lack, 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 lack. So the only way that you'll really accomplish those things, if you have like an insane amount of grit and discipline, or you're super smart in strategy. But again, you're never going to get that feeling of fulfillment, because if you're coming from a place of lack, that's what you're going to keep finding over and over again, right? As above, so below. Inner equals outer. So that's number one, is attracting abundance. Now, number two is your frequency. So frequency, we'll say, is your state of consciousness. Now, this kind of determines what you're experiencing, right? So these are the radio dials. So this is abundance, this is lack, right? And this is whatever. So your personal frequency, right? This is the state of consciousness. This is your focus that you're focused into. So are you focused into getting more and more lack into your life? Are you more focused on what you don't want, right? I don't have this. I don't have this. This sucks. I hate this. This I don't like this about the world. Or are you more so focused on the abundance? Oh my God, I'm so grateful I have this in my life. I'm so grateful I have all this in my life. Remember, neuroscience even ties into this, right? You whatever your core beliefs are, you filter out the rest. You focus in on that, right? And the quantum field shows us as well. Everything is energy, everything vibrates, and everything is a frequency. When you change your personal frequency, you change your personal reality. Let's put all this together. Okay. So let's say you watch this video and you're sitting here like, okay, well, I'm going to manifest. Manifest time. Let's do it, right? And you're like, okay, well, Caden's telling me that these parallel realities exist and I can change my frequency and that we're all one. What do I do with all this now, right? What do I do with all this? How do I actually apply this into my life? Okay, well, let's break it down. So here's what you'll want to do. Number one is that you got to know what you want or know what you don't want, right? If you don't know exactly what you want, start out with knowing what you don't want. But let's say you know what you want. And let's say I'm going to use the example of money because everybody wants more money, it seems, in this world, right? Everyone always wants more and more money. I could use health. I could use, there's so many things, relationships, right? Love. Let's just start out with money. Okay, so let's say I want money. Okay, so how will money make me feel if I get it, right? What is the feeling that I will get if I have all this money? What do I think it's going to do for me? Oh my gosh, I think it's going to make me feel so free. I'm going to feel light, right? So I'm going to feel light and free. Okay, awesome. So step number two is now you want to get into that state, okay? And your state is the free. Remember, because we're thinking of this, the version of me who already has what I want, what state of being are they in? So you can visualize it, right? Okay, I have all this money. What does he or she do on a daily basis? How do they think? How do they feel? Get so crystal clear and get in tune with that state of being. It's crazy because you can literally like visualize it so clearly and you can actually feel it. And visualize it as if it's you now, not when you're older or nothing like that. Visualize it if you're going to visualize it as you now. Don't set the rules. This is a key here, is that a lot of time our limiting beliefs and our fears and what we believe about the world will try to set these rules. Oh, well, when I'm in this age, or I'll probably achieve it like it'll take this many years. No. Don't set rules. Don't try to figure out the how. That's the ego. That's the animal self trying to take control, right? But that just shows that we're just not trusting in how the process works. So don't put so many rules. Just focus, keep it general, keep it easy. Okay. And also, too, think of this is that your higher mind might have a better plan for you than what your animal mind, your current belief systems can think. So don't just say, I want $1 million, because what if you could get $100 million, right? You don't know it though, but your current belief systems only believe that maybe you can accomplish the $1 million. So keep it open, keep it general. I just want abundance. I want abundance. And what is that going to feel like? It's going to feel free to me. So now you want to get into the state of being free. So the third step is act free. Okay? Start acting this way. Embody it nonstop. And mind you, a lot of this stuff is stuck in your subconscious mind. So you need to become what we call a conscious creator. You got to stay conscious. Okay? And the ways to do that is reminders throughout the day, morning routines, etc. Having a community, a team, a coach, all that stuff there. But you want to act as that self, right? So you feel free, right? Okay, and try to think that way, and you gotta act that way. Acting is the universal language that shows you what it is that you actually are serious about, what it is that you actually want. So feel free and act that way now. Start acting it as the best of your ability. And then 4 is where the good old resistance pops up. And here is where everyone struggles, okay? A lot of people really struggle with this part. Here is dealing with the resistance and that battle of the animal self and the soul self. Okay? Okay, so resistance is, think of it like this. Okay, let's go over to this stage here. So let's say this is the reality I'm trying to get is the abundance, which is dollar signs, which is free. Okay? And me now, let's say I'm going and I'm staying in this free state of being, right? And I'm trying to do it, I'm trying to do it, I'm trying to do it. But then let's say on this journey, an anchor comes up, okay? And this is resistance. So this is resistance that pops up. Resistance is where basically a limiting belief, right? So this is where basically your limiting beliefs that you have right now that have been keeping you stuck in this state, these are trying to fulfill the loop. They're trying to come true. So you're trying to raise and be in this free state, but your nervous system and your belief systems are attuned to what's already down here, right? The limiting belief is, let's say the limiting belief here. So you want to feel free in money, but let's say the belief is that um, success is hard. Okay. And money is actually, I don't know if you guys can see it down there with the screen. So let me just put it up here. So let's say the limiting beliefs that you have is money equals evil. Okay. And let's say the other limiting beliefs is money equals stress. Well, here's the question, right? Is the abundant you, do they believe that money is stressful? No, because money gives them more freedom, right? So that limiting belief cannot come with it. That limiting belief is lowering your frequency. It's not allowing you to rise above to get to where you want to go. And money is evil. Well, if we believe money is evil, we don't want to be an evil, bad person. So we're going to reject money. Well, that's not going to help us get abundance, right? That's not going to help us get more money in that freedom that we want. So that limiting belief has to go. So the resistance, I want you to look at the resistance as be thankful for it. Yeah, you might not like it, you might not prefer it, but it's there for a reason to help teach you or show you what you need to work through to get to where you want to go. Otherwise, you're going to stay stuck in the loop over and over and over again, wondering what's wrong with you. So the resistance is there for a reason, right? Think of it like a caterpillar goes into a cocoon, becomes a butterfly. You're working through the resistance. You're in the cocoon phase right now. You keep going, you're going to become that butterfly. You're going to get to where you want to go. Don't turn back now. So the resistance is, let's say, okay, so I'm feeling free, and then this resistance pops up in my external world. Okay. And I get knocked out of that freedom state. So the internal world, I'm feeling free, but my external world's not reflecting that yet. And I pop up in this resistance of where I had this bill comes up or my car breaks down and I instantly get back into a stressful state. Or let's say I start making more money because I'm in this free state, I'm attracting this wealth, and then I get into a stressful situation or I unconsciously self-sabotage myself. So I start spending all my money and I start just wasting all my money. Next thing you know, I'm back into a stressful state of being. Okay, this is where how we work through this is where self-reflection comes into play. Okay. And this is where you have to dissect yourself. This is where you have to be the observer of your life. Mind you, this is the work that I do with my clients to help them become the creators of their lives, to create their dreams. So you have to self-reflect. One of the best ways to do it is meditation, become the observer, realizing that you are not your thoughts. You're the one observing your thoughts. So step number one is you got to ask yourself questions that will put you in a different perspective so you can really observe what's going on. You can really self-reflect. One of the best questions that you can ask yourself, right, is, okay, well, I'm in this resistance state. Why am I out of this free feeling state? Because I'm stressed out. Okay, I'm just so stressed out. So the emotion I'm feeling right now is I'm feeling stress. Okay? And why am I stressed out? Because I can't I can't afford this, we'll say, or whatever it may be. Or oh gosh, money's so hard to keep, we'll say is the limit is the thoughts that you're having. All right, ask yourself this question. What would I have to believe to be true in order to feel this way? Okay, well, I feel stressed right now because I'm noticing that I'm having a hard time avoiding this and I'm feeling so stressed out. I'd have to believe that money is stressful. Money equals stress. Okay, well, is that universally true? The universal truth. Is that true in all cases? No, it's not, right? It's not at all. So what must be true? That money isn't stressful, that money is flow. Money is just a reflection of myself. Money is just energy and it just amplifies who I am. So will I decide now to embody that new belief that money is just flow and that makes me feel more free? Or will I go back to my old limiting belief that money is stressful and stay in that stressful state? No, I decide that I want to let go of this limiting belief so I can get into that new state. Right? So remember, you change the limiting belief down here below. Neuroscience shows you change the core belief, starts to change the thoughts, starts to change how you feel, changes your identity, changes how you act, and you get new results in your life. So freaking cool. So you let go of that belief there. Okay. All right. Well, now this resistance is gone. Right. So now this resistance is gone. Amazing. Amazing. So let's delete all this. Right. Okay. So now I can get back into the state of being. Right. So this resistance is now healed. I've learned the lesson. I've let go of the limiting belief. I'm raising my vibration, my frequency even more. So now I'm getting more and more in tuned. I'm shifting to this reality, right? This reality. Why do I always think that real? And then I always want to put an I there. It's weird. But now I'm shifting to this reality. I'm getting closer and closer and closer, right? I'm vibrating closer. I'm changing my frequency closer and closer. But then again, another resistance point comes up. And this is that money equals evil. Okay. So let's say you found this because you're noticing yourself sabotaging. And self sabotaging comes because we resist what is it that we're heading towards, right? So if we believe money is evil and we're starting to make more money in our lives, and now we're noticing that we self sabotage, well, I don't want that. That's resistance. That's going against what I want, right? So with proper self observation and dissecting, you can realize those limiting beliefs that are not actually universally true. And then we can let go of those and get back into the universal truth and get back in alignment with who we want to become. Right. So I notice I'm self sabotaging. I'm just mindless spending and it makes me feel terrible. But what would I have to believe to be true about myself to allow myself to continue this pattern? Because I know that a habit is only a habit until it's caught. Then it becomes a decision to act that way. So what would I believe to be true about myself to continue to act this way, even though I know it's not in alignment with who I want to become? Well, I'd have to believe that money is evil, that I don't actually want money. Well, is that actually true? Is money actually evil? No, because we just talked about it, right? A lot of people say money's evil, money is bad, money's the root of all evil. Did you know money is just energy? Money is just a tool. It literally is just a reflection of who you already are. It just amplifies more and more of your true self. That's it. So, okay, well, that feels a lot better. That feels expansive, not constricting, right? I'm not limiting myself when I have that belief. I'm expanding myself. I'm ascending, right? Getting closer to my natural state. So, we remove that resistance. The lesson is learned. Congratulations. And now you're getting closer and closer to where you want to go. And that's all you got to do is that you have to stay in that state of being, right? So you have to first know what it is that you want. You got to be clear, know what you want, right? You got to start acting towards it and being in that free state of being. So you have to be in the state, right? And you have to act towards it. And then when the resistance pops up, right? You don't get back into your old states of being. You don't allow those patterns to continue. You self-observe. You don't judge yourself, right? You love yourself unconditionally. You recognize the situation. Okay, this is the resistance I got going in my life. I don't prefer it. So there must be a reason for it here. Okay, what is the lesson I'm going to learn? Maybe it's a limiting belief. Maybe it's a lesson. Maybe it's a pattern that I keep doing that I know isn't. Just think of this quote. I asked God for strength, therefore he gave me challenges to get stronger. When you ask for what you want, you automatically get it. The world will automatically start reorganizing in a way to set you up for that success. But the animal brain comes in, the ego and the identity, the personal self, the scared self is like, no, change. No, 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 let's not change. Let's try to control everything because we can't trust, right? So you got to stay in that positive state. You got to trust. You got to stay in that free state. And then when the resistance pops up, right? Through proper self observing and reflection, you can release those limiting beliefs and those fears, and you get back into what's actually true and keep raising and raising your state of being, your vibration, your frequency to the point where you already have what it is that you want. Because remember this, the way you think and feel and act now, if it's not getting you what you want, well, the person that you want to become, they just think, feel, act, believe differently about themselves, right? So you want to lose weight? Well, the thoughts of I'm fat and I'm ugly, if you when you lose weight and you get there and you see yourself as a beautiful person who's healthy and fit, those old thinking patterns and beliefs can't come with it. So they got to go. They got to go. We can't keep thinking and feeling that way about ourselves because it's not in alignment with who we want to become. That's feeding the old story rather than fueling the new story. So we've got to release it. We've got to let it go. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a gist of how manifesting works. Okay, the entire breakdown. Now I'm super excited because I've never really touched into the spiritual aspect before. So I would love to hear what your guys' personal opinions are, where you might still feel lost or where you're clear or what made most sense or what you liked most about the journey today. And as always, make sure you do subscribe for more. I really appreciate it. Leave a comment, leave a like down below. And if you do ever need some help, I'm only one message away on Instagram at Caden.Hayward. But other than that, though, guys, I really do appreciate you being here, listening to this training. And I do hope this helps someone, whoever's watching it. And have an amazing rest of your day. Let's keep thriving. Let's keep chasing our dreams. Let's keep becoming our best selves because that's what the world really needs from us.